I wanted to get A.B. Stoddard into this, the RealClearPolitics associate editor and columnist. This is the same week, A.B., we got, fears of a so-called blue wave, I say, among many in the Republican Party, that was cemented by this announcement that Paul Ryan isn't seeking re-election. Is it your sense that that's a gimme? Normally, when everyone says it's a gimme, it's not a gimme. But what are your thoughts?
Well, certainly Republicans are very nervous about there is a blue wave building, and we've seen that obviously in Democratic overperformance in state Senate and state House elections and these special elections for Congress. That doesn't mean the Republicans will lose their majority, but they certainly are facing a very challenging headwind. They know historically if you have the White House and both chambers of Congress, you're looking at losses in the first midterm. And they're looking at President Trump's numbers, and they're looking at just a lot of things that show them many, many retirements in their ranks from people who, chairman and now the Speaker of the House, people they thought certainly would enjoy their purchase and would be staying on, and they're fleeing. So with also the fear of more retirements to come now that Ryan has made this announcement. So they're very nervous. Publicly, they'll say it's a 50-50, but privately, they think it's potentially worse than that. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, has said that even the Senate is not, even Republicans having the best map since 1938, are still very aware that the Senate is not safe in a wave. So they're looking at obviously what's going on in the national conversation, and they're concerned. You know, these tax cuts, they really helped boost the president's poll numbers. They helped close the generic ballot advantage Democrats had in December and January. It's narrowed it considerably, and they take heart in that. But not a lot of people are talking about those tax cuts. You guys are on your show, but they are hoping that that's going to change.
Well, they're relighting that. Now, they're relighting that. And you mentioned Mitch McConnell. I'm going to be in Washington next week talking to him on tax day, the 17th, when you have to file your taxes, just to let you know. They gave you a couple more days this year, guys. But, Christine, the one thing that McConnell has said is that people don't appreciate the magnitude of the bang for the buck they've been getting, companies, individuals. So the Republicans have to keep pounding that. Now, they're not great at marketing. They haven't marketed these things very well. Maybe they'll get great at it. But they're surprised there hasn't been more follow-through. I think A.B. is right to talk about this imaginary, unnamed, Democrat versus Republicans. It's fairly narrow. But is it your sense that is what, if Republicans hone that, that it could improve their chances for keeping the House and/or Senate?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we need people to talk about it. I think corporations certainly are. I don't know how much of America is paying attention to corporate earnings season, but I think if you do, you'd see. I mean, look, we lowered taxes at the top of a cycle, and so corporations already had a lot of cash on the balance sheet. This is just going to light a little more fire under their bottom line.
But apparently a lot of Democrats are feeling emboldened, though, to reprise the crumbs line, right?
Sure.
Cory Booker in New Jersey and others. So they think there's some political capital with that to reach Americans who might be dissatisfied with the tax cuts.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to how secure Americans feel in their jobs. I mean, we've seen wage growth, and so you would think, the more money Americans have in their pockets, they tend to put that back into the economy. That certainly helps economic growth. But they need to feel it, and they need to feel that their jobs are safe. I think the more you talk about tariffs, and especially on steel, that potentially could, impact those that work for steel input companies.
But they feel better than they did a couple of years ago.
Consumer sentiment is still pretty high, yes.
The problem with the tax reduction is it's not a real tax reduction for everybody. I mean, you have the top 20% earners, 150,000 or above, paid 84% of the taxes last year. Right. Next year, they're going to pay 87%. So the Republicans did something the Democrats have been trying to do for years. They made the tax system more progressive. And about 20
but good luck getting that point
20
across.
to 30% of the people are going to pay more because they lost their deductions on their state income tax. They lost their local income tax. And going forward to 2027, if it does become permanent, it's going to be a permanent increase for about half of all Americans.
But they won't see that yet.
Well,
they won't see that increase.
They won't see it yet, but I tell you what, you better go talk to your accountant before the end of the year and figure out how much your withholding should really be, because a lot of people are going to be shocked when at the end of this tax cycle.
I'm just wondering, too, in the middle of this, the soap opera around Comey's book and, of course, the ongoing investigation, it seems to get more in your face right now on the part of Bob Mueller now, raiding Donald Trump's personal lawyers' offices and homes, much as he raided the offices of Paul Manafort, his former campaign advisor. A lot of people looking at this to say, geez, where the heck is this thing going?
Yes, and that's why I think the midterms become even more unpredictable than they ordinarily would be at this time of the year. I mean, think about it, on any regular day that we're covering the news, there's probably 6 or 7 stories just coming out of the White House on every single day, right? So like next week, to your point, there will be a lot of talk about taxes. The president will go out and have a round table and they'll talk about it on tax day and they'll try to pump that up. But who's to say by the middle of that week or the next week the topic hasn't completely changed? Just as a random example, if something does come out of the Mueller investigation, who knows what it is, but some sort of recommendation by Bob Mueller comes out over the summer, say, for example, that would shape the entire narrative surrounding the race. But even then, we don't know how it would shape it, because going back to 1998, I was looking at some numbers. I think it was Strategas who put these numbers together on those midterms. Everybody thought it was all going to be about Bill Clinton's possible impeachment, which came after the 98 midterms. It was, but in not the way they expected. It really energized the Republicans because they wanted to stave off the big election losses. They ended up gaining 5 seats in the House. So we don't know how anybody's going to react to the events, and we don't even know what the events are yet.
Amy, I notice when I look at the markets, a lot of people in the markets, whether you like or dislike the president, they don't like the uncertainty of thinking he might be impeached or leave. And that was very analogous to what went through with to Connell's point, Bill Clinton. Is there a sense here that we're heading for this so-called constitutional crisis, or we're going to have some trouble? What are you hearing?
Well, there is. All of Washington today, Neil, is on Rod Rosenstein watch. The Deputy Attorney General has told people around him where he works that he's ready to be fired, and he believes in what he's done. He's proud of the job he's done.
Then what happens?
If he does, if Rod Rosenstein is fired, it's going to be up to congressional Republicans to characterize that as some kind of abuse of power or obstruction of justice, or just stay silent and cool their heels. It's really the onus is on them as a separate and co-equal branch of government to oversee this action. If they think it's fine, the president has free rein to put himself above this investigation and kneecap it.
That's a big sell-off. I don't know the politics of it, but that's a big sell-off right there.
You know, look, the headlines are fear, 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 and more fear.
Yeah.
And if you go back through history, we've had headlines like that before, where there was a tech crash, wars, recessions, depressions. And every time, one thing's for sure, even if the market goes down, there'll be people that predict a Holocaust, the all end of the market, it's going to go to zero. But inevitably, it always goes up to where it was and then goes to new highs.
Which is morally, they should stop watching CNBC. But Christine, what's your final take on this?
Look, the markets trade on 2 things, earnings and interest rates. We kind of think we know where both of those things are going, but like you said,
all this other stuff is short-lived.
All this other stuff, but it could impact where both of those things going, maybe not this year, maybe not in the short term, but certainly 2019 and thereafter. But I think right now the markets shouldn't be trading on news or hearsay or rumors. It really should be on the actuals that we see from earnings season and what we see on interest rates. And so let's look at the fundamentals. They're still very strong. We have a strong underlying economy.
Guys, thank you all very, very much.